What's up, YouTube? I know I'm new to this and shit, but I might as well get started now, Go ahead, smash that like. I know I probably don't have any likes, and I don't have a single subscriber, but, you just gotta say that shit. So, come on, be my first person to like the video. Be my first subscriber. Help me out. Appreciate it. Let's see what I want to talk about. I was thinking about talking about riding motorcycles. I think I'm gonna title this video "Ride or Die" because I think it's true. I think you're either a rider at heart or you're not. Like some people, they don't ride bikes. They stay on four wheels. But like with me, man, I rode that motorcycle, crashed day 2, broke my wrist. Like I still got back on the motherfucker. That's why I'm like, ride or die. A lot of these people, they get in these accidents. You'll see these stunt riders doing some crazy shit, and then they crash, break some part of their spine or something. Like, I don't know, their clavicle, like they do some crazy shit, right? And then they're like, fuck it, I'm gonna get back on the bike in 6 months. And I get that, man. Like, I respect that, but that's why I think ride or die. You either got it in your blood or you don't. And I'm a motherfucking rider. I got my first bike. Let's see, November 2008. I don't remember the exact time. It was around Thanksgiving time, right? So I flew back in from Iraq on leave, and my brother-in-law was there. He had a motorcycle that I told him to pick me up a bike. And so he got me this 2006 CBR 600 RR. Like, man, that thing was fucking sweet. And so that was the 2006 that I got in 2007. So it was pretty new, but I got a really fucking killer deal on it because he was stationed out in Texas. I forget which base he was at, like Fort Hood, Texas or something. But he knew a lot of riders, and he hung out with a lot of people that rode. And this guy, I want to say this is the story, but this guy bought the motorcycle for his boyfriend or something, and then like the guy ended up wrecking it, and he's like, I don't want to fucking ride this thing anymore, or some shit like that, right? So like the bike was down, the bike got fucked up, but they fixed it, so I got a good deal on it, and so I'm like, hell yeah, like I'll take it. So I want to say I picked it up for like 5,500, maybe 6,500, I don't know, probably 55, something like that. Or maybe it was more. Maybe that's what I took out a loan for, and then I threw down cash or something. I don't remember, but that was my first bike, a 2006 CBR 600 RR, black, all black. And so the second day I had it, I fucking crashed. I talked about that in another video, but I'll go ahead and talk about it again. I had my permit. My brother-in-law had his license, and we're going through a residential area. And I don't know, we're probably doing quicker than 25, or maybe like I just freaked out or something. One of the things that I've learned is there's a thing called like lock on target or some shit like that happens to new riders. And so I'm thinking that's probably what happened to me, because like the sun was setting, so like the light was changing. And it was becoming darker, like, it was just like, it was a new experience for me. It was day 2, I've only ridden like during the day. I probably had like, I don't know, definitely under 200 miles under my belt, like, I hadn't ridden that much. But anyway, this residential street, we come up, you're supposed to take a left-hand turn, and my brother-in-law fucking takes the turn. But for me, nah, man, like, I don't know if it's because I was new. I don't know if it's because the light changed. I don't know. But I freaked out. So I slammed on the brakes, I think. And I locked up my back tire, which caused the wobbliness. And then I got thrown from my bike. But I was wearing all my gear. Like, I had a helmet and shit. But I think the issue is, like, I probably went to break my fall, and all my weight went on my right wrist. And so I broke it. And it was on a residential street, so there was people around, and there was this corner house where some people came running out. This girl, she was like an EMT or a nurse or something. I don't remember, paramedic, some shit like that. But she comes running out, She's like, are you okay? Like, oh my God, I heard that, blah, blah, blah. And, oh, you need to sit down. You're like, you're in shock. You need to relax. Like, we need to get the ambulance here. Shit like that, right? And I'm like, I'm looking at my bike like, fuck, man, I just fucking destroyed my bike, man. Like I think that's another thing too. You know, if you're a rider, man, you just hop up and you're like, fuck, man, my bike. Or even if like you're so fucked up you can't hop up, your first thought though is like, oh, my bike, man. Maybe it's just young riders, but that was my first thought. I was like, fuck, man, my bike is destroyed. I just bought this shit and now I gotta pay like, I don't know how much, thousands of dollars to fix it, right? But fuck it, that was my thought. And she's like, yeah, we need to like, you know, get the ambulance here and stuff. And I'm like, nah, we don't need to do all that. Like, it's just a broken wrist. Like, I don't have anything else. I was wearing my helmet. I had like pants and like boots on and shit or whatever, right? So I was good, but she didn't want me to leave. So I had to sit there for like 5 or 10 minutes and calm down and stuff. And it was fine because like my brother-in-law was there. And like the crazy shit is, my sister and my wife at the time were behind me. So it was my brother-in-law going, and then it was me going, and then it was my sister and my wife in a truck behind us. So, you know, they both saw the crash go down. So I could imagine what's going on in their head. You know, they're probably freaking out. But I'm just sitting there with everyone just like, nah, like I'm fine. You know, you see, like, yeah, like I fucked my wrist up, but like I'm okay, you know? And so finally they're like, all right, you know, we'll let you go. So the only thing I want to do is just go drop my bike off. And the closest place I could think of at the time was my grandma's. And I'm like, fuck, man, like I shouldn't have done that. Like I was on the street that I grew up on. So I had like 2 friends that still lived there. Like their parents' houses were there. And I'm like, fuck, I should have just went there. But I'm like, I'm gonna go to my grandma's 10 miles away or some shit. So I start riding and I broke my right wrist. And that's my riding wrist. So anytime I want to go give gas, I'm like, oh, fuck, this hurts, you know? And eventually there's a point where I'm riding and like I have my right wrist just like over on my stomach, like on my side, just holding it. And I have my left wrist over here working the gas, like, okay, you know, and I wasn't shifting or anything, just kind of cruising, probably like 40 miles an hour. Make it to my grandma's house and I'm just like, fuck, this shit hurts. Put the bike down and I'm like, yo, you gotta take me to the hospital. My fucking wrist, like no joke, was like a golf ball under here. It was crazy. And I'm like, dude, this shit hurts so bad. And I go to the hospital and they do an x-ray and they give me a Percocet and they're like, yeah, that shit's broken, but there's nothing they could do except splint it. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, all you really did is like fucking tell me some shit I already knew. And then yeah, I got the Percocet, but that didn't really help because like my pain level was off the charts. And I'm like, yo, is there anything else you can do? And so they gave me like 1 more Percocet to take home, but that was it. And I'm like, damn, dude, like I'm fucked up, right? So my brother-in-law, I call him and I'm like, yo, just go pick up some alcohol. You know, we just gotta fucking just black out, man. I just gotta black out. So I just drank that night and I blacked out, basically, woke up puking all crazy. And and then yeah, that was that. So after that, like I got LASIK, went back to Iraq, like shit like that. But I had to have surgery on my wrist. Basically what happened is like you got your 2 bones in your arm and then you got a bunch of bones in your wrist. Well, with all the pressure and stuff like coming down, these two bones, they just put a lot of force on all these bones. And so the doctor said like all the bones in my hand were shattered and like I don't remember if both of these bones or some shit, but basically they had to put in a metal plate and a bunch of screws and fucking, yeah, it was crazy. It was fucking crazy. I went to, I want to say it was like Estrella Hospital or some shit, but it's over off the 101 on the west side near like 83rd Ave or something. But I remember going there and they did the surgery and I remember coming out and like, so they put you under and then you come out in the like recovery room and you kind of come out of like the anesthesia, right? And I remember coming out just like, like fucking screaming my ass off, like, this fucking hurts, And they put me back out, man, because like I was probably freaking out the other patients or some shit, but they put me out, right? Next thing I know, like I'm coming to, and like I'm in pain, but I'm not screaming or anything, but they're like, get this guy out of here, man. You know, like, he's fucking causing too much of a ruckus. But yeah, my wife, you know, she took me home, fucking recovered from that shit. Well, had a cast on, and then I went back to Iraq, and then got the cast off, and my fucking wrist was like half its size, and I was doing physical therapy and rehabilitation or whatever. But so my whole point is, like, that was a crash, and like, it wasn't too crazy, but it was crazy. Like, I'm gonna get into it later, but it was pretty crazy in my body, because I mean, fuck, I was in the army, so after that, like, I couldn't really do push-ups anymore. And I mean, for your PT test, you gotta do push-ups, sit-ups, and run. Like, so I couldn't do a third of the fucking things they asked me to do. And then I was never really a good runner. So I'm like, fuck, dude. Like, now I'm just fucked. But anyway, like, I get back from Iraq, and the whole bike was fixed. My brother-in-law threw on a race cage, and it was just looking sick. I'm gonna have to see if I can find some pictures, somehow throw it in there or something. But yeah, I kept riding. I was like, fuck it, you know, like, I fucked myself up, but I'm gonna get back on the bike, because ride or die, you know, I'm gonna ride for my life. And basically, I mean, I rode, and let's see, so then I got out of the army, transferred back, or moved back to Arizona, started living with my mom, and I still had the bike. I was still cruising around, having a good time, and let's see. So then I was going to college, and then at like community college, and then I finally transferred to ASU, and that's when I remember, like, so I was at ASU, and I remember selling my bike. But the reason why I sold my bike is because I was just getting into too much trouble. Like I was kind of probably low on cash, and I'm like, yeah, it'd be nice to have the extra cash, but no, I was just getting in trouble. Like, I remember a couple of times, like, one time that I was going to school at Glendale Community College, I was just going fast. I got on the 101, brah, and I don't know, I was probably doing 100 or some shit, but there's a cop on the right-hand side of the road, and he just flipped his lights on and then turned them off, because I don't know, he didn't want to come after me. But, you know, so I was doing shit like that, and then, there was another time, too, I'm coming down, like, the 202, and I was just cruising, and someone comes up behind me real quick in the HOV lane, and so, I don't know, like, I just freak out, man. Like, when people get behind me and shit like that, you know, like, I'm not trying to deal with some road rage crap, so I just floored, I took off, I'm probably doing $120, $140, brah, just, you know, going around those curves and stuff. Man, that shit was just, you know, like, I was used to it, so it was fun. But then I get up to the exit where I got to get off, which is probably like around ASU, right? And I get all the way over on the right lane, and this guy comes up, and let's see, I forget what he was driving, but he was driving a truck, right? I want to say it was a Dodge. It was like might have been a Dodge Ram, but he pulls up next to me, and he looks at me like, yo, what the fuck? You know, and like, he throws his hands up like, yo, what the fuck? You know? And I'm looking over at him, like, with, like, a dumb look on my eyes, like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I've been here my whole time. Like, I wasn't speeding. It wasn't me. What are you talking about? And then, like, I don't know. He doesn't come after me, right? Like, he's just next to me, and he does that, like, what the fuck? And I look at him like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he takes off. And that's when I realized it was an undercover cop, and he had the lights on and shit. And I was like, oh, goddamn, dude, I was lucky. But, I mean, if he would have come after me again, I probably would have just bounced again. But, I mean, he definitely could have done something, so I appreciate that. I mean, that shit was crazy. And then I think that was it with that bike. That's probably like why I got rid of it and stuff. And then years go by, I don't know, 1, 2 years, something like that. And I had a truck, but I was living with my sister, so I was letting her use the vehicle. And I was like, well, fuck, I need another vehicle. You know, I got rid of my bike, and so I need another one. So then I ended up getting another motorcycle, but this time I got a 2005 CBR 600RR, just because I got a good deal for it. It was like $4,000. Let's see, 2000. Yeah, see, it sucks though, because I picked that shit up in like probably like 2012, no, maybe 2013, something like that. But I picked it up for like $4,000 because I couldn't let riding go, you know. I'm like, it's in my blood, man. I love it, you know. I love riding. It's just so relaxing, you know. You just go out cruising, have a good time. And so I picked up that bike, and then I started getting in trouble again. Like, I mean, I wasn't getting in trouble, but I put myself in bad situations. And like on that bike, I remember I'm coming up the 101, and I was just having fun, right? The freeway's open, it's clear. And so I just, I get on it, and like I'm already in probably like 5th or 6th gear, probably doing like 60 or something. But then I just like, I punched it up to like 90 or 100 because it was like a big open area. So I'm like, fuck, you know, I want to ride. And all of a sudden, like I see a fucking sheriff up in front of me, and I'm like, God damn, like this shit again, right? So I slow down, and I get out the HOV lane, and then fucking he slows down. Or no, it was either something like that, right? Then I slow down and get over again, and he slows down and gets over. I slow down, he get over. I slow down, he get over. It was just like that, right? We're going like this, and then I get over and slow down, like, and then finally I'm like, man, I know this guy's coming after me, so I just kicked it down like 2 gears and bounced. I was like, boom, I'm gone. And then like, I don't know, 2-3 miles later, took the exit, went through a parking lot and shit, and I thought a car was following me. It wasn't a cop, but I was like freaking out and shit. And then I got on the road and bounced, went back home, and I was like, that shit was scary. So I did that shit. Oh, when I first got the bike, before I had tags or anything, like I just wanted to take it for a quick spin, see what it was like. And right before I go to get on the freeway, a fucking cop tries to light me up, and I was like, fuck. So I hopped on the freeway and just went in between cars and bounced. But I mean, I was just doing stupid shit, so I'm like, man, I gotta get rid of this bike too. So then I finally got rid of that bike when I had enough, like not with the craziness and stuff, but my sister's driving around in my truck, and then I gotta go to school, and it's raining out, like fucking just pouring like hardcore, and I'm like, man, I'm not trying to fucking ride the bike and get wet and deal with all this bullshit, right? So finally I'm like, fuck, I just need to get another vehicle. So I sold my bike, and I ended up getting another truck. And so I just let my sister like basically have that truck, or like use it for the next like couple years. And then I had my truck. And then that went on for years, like, I don't know, a couple years. And then I just recently picked up my third bike this year, a 2009 CBR 600RR. Oh man, I love that bike, but I mean, that shit could still get me in trouble too, because like I was coming down the freeway and I wasn't doing anything crazy, but it was rush hour. I'm in the HOV lane, and there was a car going slow in the HOV lane, and so I had an opportunity where I could go to the right to pass him, and so I did that. But just me doing that, like, and like you could hear my exhaust or whatever. A cop up ahead, you know, he fucking put his lights on, and I'm like, bro, like, I'm not even fucking speeding. All you did is like hear my fucking muffler, my exhaust, or whatever. Like, fuck you. So I just like dipped off. I took the exit because he was already past the exit. So I'm like, no, I'm not trying to deal with that. So I just got off right away. And then and then I got pulled over. Like, I was like out in Globe, fucking just cruising and shit. I went past, and then there was an area where it was basically like a 2-lane highway, and you could only pass when, you know, dotted lines. And I was behind a truck, big ass truck with a big ass trailer, and so I'm getting hit with like pebbles or whatever. But I'm just getting annoyed. I'm like, fuck, this guy's going slow. Like, I'm getting hit with shit. Like, fuck it. So when I had my opportunity, I took it. But I mean, it was tight. It was tight, right? So I don't know. I probably kicked it down 1 or 2 gears and punched it and got around him. And as I'm like getting in front of him, the other car that's coming the other way is pretty close, right? But I definitely made it. But the crazy thing is, like, behind that car was a cop. So he saw that shit go down, and he said that the speed limit was 55, and he said I was doing 80 to do that pass. But he didn't catch me, right? He just put his lights on and then kept going, and there was another cop down the road. And as soon as I passed him, he fucking flipped his lights on, and I knew he was coming after me. So I just pulled over, and I was like, fuck it, you know. I was hoping he was going to be understanding, but he was a fucking dick, you know. He's like, oh, why, you know, you passed doing 80. And I was like, no, like, I just took the opportunity. If I would have told him, like, yo, if you're a rider and you understand, like, you're behind some fucking truck with a trailer getting debris and shit. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know. Like, maybe I was doing 80. Like, I don't know. But I just passed, right? And then I was just cruising. And then the other cop that pulls me over, like, I was just cruising when I went past him, but he said I was doing 75, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe if the speed limit is 55, like, other people were probably doing 65 at least, because I was just cruising, you know? But I pulled over, I'm like, fuck it, and I got my ticket, and so now I listed the bike, but I don't know if I want to get rid of it, because I got the idea of making a moto vlog, and that's why I'm making this video, because I'm going to go ahead and post it, but I'm also going to post it on my other channel, because I made a channel. I haven't really done anything with it yet, but I got a channel called CBRAZ Motovlog, or I call it CBRAZ Motovlog, and it doesn't have any fucking videos, but I kind of want to, that's what I want to do. So I did some calculations, and my truck right now, I'm getting fucking, let's just say 14 miles a gallon. Like, it's down to like 13.7 or some shit. But I've had it up to like 15 before. But so I'm gonna calculate based on 15. And I got a 2008 F-150 4x4. So I'm getting about 15 miles a gallon, and then on my bike I'm gonna say I get about 45. You know, maybe it's less, but the truck's less, right? So it's about 3 to 1. So I did the calculations, and I'm like, every 10,000 miles that I drive with my truck, as opposed to the bike, I'm spending this much. Every 10,000 miles I drive on the bike, I'm spending this much. And that difference is like $1,300. So if I ride my bike for 10,000 miles instead of driving my truck for 10,000 miles, I'll have recouped $1,300 worth of gas off of the price. And so I bought this bike. I got it for a good deal. I got it for $4,000 too. So like that 05 I got for $4,000. I turned around and sold it for like 45, but I threw in like 3 helmets and my jackets and stuff because I was just done riding. But that was cool, you know, ride around a bike and then you sell it for more than you bought it for. So that was kind of the idea with this bike. Like, I was like, I like riding, but I don't want to get in trouble and stuff. So let me just buy a bike and flip it. So I spent months and months just fucking, you know, checking Craigslist, OfferUp, whatever. And finally, I come across this bike on Craigslist, and I'm like, shit, dude, it's a good deal. And he had it listed for, I think it was down to like 43. And he's like, that's the lowest I'm going to take is 43. And I'm like, all right, you know, like, I really don't want to go that high, but fuck it, you know, like, this is the best deal that I found. And he was the original owner. He never crashed it, never had it down. It had an aftermarket exhaust, had like newer tires. And I was like, all right, cool, like, let me check it out. And so we're talking and stuff, and he just fucking ghosts me, and I'm like, yo, like, what the fuck? So I don't say shit. 2 days later, he hits me up, and he's like, yo, you still interested? And I'm like, bro, man, I know you had another buyer, and then that buyer flaked out, so like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, I'm still interested, but I'm only doing $4,000 now. And like, I'm like, that's my only offer. And he's like, all right, I'll do $4,000, but just to let you know, the brakes don't work. So apparently he was around the bike for a while or some shit, and he goes to check it, and like the front brakes don't work. And I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck. Like, I got mechanic in my blood. I've done shit. So I'm like, all right, 4K, let's do it. You know, like, I know that bike's worth 5K. So I'm like, 4K, let's do it. So I go there, I pick up the bike. It's fucking looking fresh, looking really clean. The only thing is, like, that brake doesn't work. So when I went to go ride it, I'm usually using like mostly the back brake, and then like you'd have to like pump it. So I didn't really know a whole lot what was going on. He told me like, oh, you just gotta bleed the brakes. I'm like, all right, fine. $4,000, that's a good deal. Brought the bike back, and then I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's up. Like, I was on forums, like, asking questions and trying to like figure it out. Like, cause I ordered some Dot 4 fluid, flushed the brake system, and that shit still didn't work. Like, it was tight, right? And then I like rock the, like, so the bike is in the garage, and I go back like 5 feet to the back of the garage, and then I go forward, and I'm like checking the brake, right? And as I'm going forward, like, then it's spongy again, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why is it tight and why is it spongy? And so I'm like trying to do the research, and like, I know like there's only so many things it could be, but I don't want to just go ahead and like replace everything. And so I was like, you know, it could be the brake pads, it could be the rotors, it could be the brake lines, it could be the master cylinder, like, or whatever it's called. I think that's master cylinder or whatever, that shit right up top. But, you know, I was like, fuck, man, it could be any of that shit. So I started with like the cheapest thing, right? I just replaced the fluid. Didn't do shit. I'm like, all right, fuck, let me replace the pads. Pads, man, that shit ain't cheap. The pads are $80, cause like, so you got 2 front rotors, and so you got 4 pads, and it's like 40 something bucks per set. And I'm like, damn, dude, like this is expensive, but you know, I want the best because it's a fucking race bike, you know? Like I'm gonna be going quick. I want it to stop good. So I replaced that, and that didn't do shit. I basically had the same issue, you know, it's tight, and then I roll it, and then it becomes spongy, and I'm like, fuck, man. Alright, so I invested in a triple tree, and the triple tree I didn't even use because it had like another thing that where you could like lift it up based on the forks. So I just lifted it up on the forks, and then I could spin the front tire, and as I spun the front tire, I could tell that if you're sitting on the bike, the left side or the left-hand side, or like, what do they call it? The control side or something? I don't fucking know. But if you're sitting on the bike, the left side, which I think is the control side, and the right side I think is the brake. But the control side, you could tell was warped. Like, it was bad, right? And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like, that's why the brakes are fucked up. So let me order some new rotors. Fuck me, man. I didn't realize that shit was so goddamn expensive. Over 200 bucks per rotor. So now I'm looking at dropping over 500 bucks on some rotors. And I'm like, fuck. And that's me installing them myself, right? So that's not me, man. That's not me. I'm cheap, man. I'm frugal. Like, I grew up poor. I don't have money. Like, I gotta make do with what I gotta do, right? So I'm like, fuck that. I'm gonna go on eBay. And so I just started searching eBay for hours and hours trying to find the right one. And I finally found some rotors, and like I had to make sure that they were made in USA, you know, shit like that. And so I found the two front rotors for 150 bucks, 150 for both, like no joke. I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, that's how I'm gonna save money. So I get those two front rotors for 150 bucks. then I paid 80 bucks already for the pads. So now I'm in the bike like 230 for that, plus the fluid. So, and I bought one of like the little vacuum pumps or whatever. So I'm in about like 300, maybe a little more. But then I was like, fuck it, let me also get a rotor and pads for the back. And so then I bought a set of like the soft pads or whatever. It's like 10 bucks. So I'm like, fuck it. And then the back rotor, which is I found for like 50 bucks, I think, something like that. So I bought all that shit, but the back didn't need to be replaced. So I kept it, you know, I have it there for when I need to. Replaced the front rotors, you know, re-bled the brakes and fucking tested it out, and that shit worked. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, you take that to a shop, let's say I spent $4,000 on the bike, then they're gonna spend, you know, 500 on the rotors. They're probably gonna quote you like 5, 6, some shit like that. But then they're also gonna charge you labor. They're gonna charge you for the pads, like all this shit. So it would have been probably like $1,000, you know, like 800 bucks at least to replace that shit. And like that's so 800 bucks for the front. Like if I told them to replace all of it, you know, definitely $1,000. But I haven't replaced the back yet. But I can. Like I know how to fucking do it. I'm not an idiot. So anyway, like that's how I save some money, right? So I got this working bike, and I'm like, fuck yeah, now I can sell it and make some money because I already saved like 500 bucks on the bike, like getting a good deal. It was below market value. Like the low end value on the bike was 43. So that's why the guy didn't want to go below 43. But when he realized it needed work, he's like, all right, fine, fuck it. But I still think 43 would have been a good deal because then you put in some money. Let's say you put in 7, then you're at 5. That's what the bike's worth. You know, the bike's worth like 5 to 55 or something. I don't know. But I was like going through looking at Craigslist, and like a lot of the bikes are gone. And comparable bikes, I was like, they were going for like $6,000 and shit. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna list it. So I listed it for $63.99, $62.99, I think both. Nobody has hit me up, and then I changed it to $59.50, and then I had some interest in the bike. But I'm a little fucking weird. Like I don't answer phone numbers if it's just some random number. Like if I don't have you programmed in my phone, some shit, I ain't answering it. And even if you are in my phone, I might not even answer it. I just don't talk to people. And like text messages and shit, like I don't know, like I don't meet up with people, like antisocial, whatever, right? Some people be hitting me up, and like one dude hit me up, and I don't know, it sounded kind of like a scam. He's trying to say some shit like he give me like a bank certified check, and then like my buddy's like, no, I had to do that shit when I bought a car or something. I'm like, okay, like I get it. I'm like, maybe like I'll sell you the bike, but like we got to meet at my bank. You give me that bank check certified, I'm gonna go deposit in my bank, and then I'll let you have the bike. But I just never met up with him because I was like, fuck it. Like, I don't really care that much. And I love the bike. Like, I fucking love this bike. I really don't want to get rid of it, but I basically spent all my fucking savings. Like, I worked for like, you know, like I was working, I got a job October last year, and then they let me go April this year. But that whole time, just working, saving up some money. And, fucking spent most of it on this bike. And so I'm like, you know, my idea was to flip it, make a little bit of money. But I'm like, man, I just love this bike so much. I don't know if I can get rid of it. But anyway, like, then I had someone else hit me up. And so the guy that sold me the bike, he's telling me about the exhaust. But I don't know, like, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention. I was high, whatever. But he said some shit, right? And like, I remember now, like, so he said, like, the exhaust was professionally installed in Utah, right? And then he mentioned something about, like, these sound cores. I don't know exactly what he said, but he was talking about, like, you know, it might be louder, and if you wanted to get it quieter, you'd have to go to Utah to get these sound cores, some shit. I'm like, dude, I don't care about all that. But the reason why I bring that up is because the next person that hit me up, oh, man, this guy that hit me up, fucking weird as shit. I'm like, if I could bring up the text, I would, but here's how it goes. He says some shit like, bike's still available, and I'm like, yeah. And then, I forget what he said. Like, he probably something like anything aftermarket on it or something. And so I'm telling him everything. Like, you know, I just replaced the rotors, the pads. You know, it's got newer tires on it. And then I say the exhaust. I'm like, yeah. And then like the previous owner had an aftermarket exhaust professionally installed in Colorado. And he corrects me and says it was installed in Utah. So I'm like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Why are you correcting me on a fucking bike, you know? And then he says some other shit, right? And and then he finally goes like he said something like, so you basically trying to make $2,000 since you just got the bike, right? And I'm like, I'm trying to think like, yo, man, what's this guy's problem? You know, like, are you friends with the guy that sold it to me and now he's trying to get it back? Or like you were trying to buy it and you were the guy that flaked out and now you're like, fuck, I want it back. Like, I don't know, like what's going on, right? So my response, I'm just like, sounds like you got a personal interest in this bike. And like, you know, like, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm like, it sounds like you know this guy, right? Joe, right? Let's just say Joe. I'm like, sounds like you know Joe. Sounds like you got a personal interest in this bike. So for you, the price is non-negotiable. And I was telling him, you know, like, I replaced this shit. It's not free, you know, like, you got to put money to fix that. And I'm like, I didn't tell him this, but like, I'm probably like $5,000 on the bike. Like, I had to buy the stand, you know, I had to buy the brakes, buy the rotors, like, all that shit, right? And then, like, I also got to I got to do the tags. I got to register it. Like, the tags are good until March, you know? So, I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, so I had it listed for $59.50, and that's why I was getting, like, interest in it. And I had it listed for anybody that, god damn it, dude. Man, this shit's annoying as fuck. I'm gonna have to get me a memory card to put in my phone or some shit. It's like hit 30 minutes. I think it was like 33 minutes. And it's like, yo, memory's full. I'm like, fuck, dude. I deleted some shit and I don't know. Anyway, I'm back, man. So I had to go through and check out what the fuck I said. Cause like this shit's getting frustrating, man. I gotta get a bigger memory card because I need to record just like an hour straight. Because now I'm like, man, I got to put this file on my fucking computer. Then I got to go click on it and see what I said, shit like that. But what I was talking about was this asshole that hit me up trying to correct me about all this shit. And I'm like, yo, if you're hitting me up, you're interested in the bike. If you don't fucking want the bike, don't hit me up, bro. And so I was talking about how I had it listed for $59.50. And I was like $5,000 into the bike or something like that. So I wanted to make like $500 to $1,000. I want to make some money, right? So I had it listed for $59.50. Because anybody that fucking sells shit, they know like I'm gonna list it and someone's gonna offer me less. Like I could list it and say $59.50 firm, but that's not how you do that shit. You put it for like over what you want, and then it go, you know, someone's gonna offer you lower, and you're like, all right, like I'll take 55. Like that's cool. But that was my whole goal. Was like $59.50. I'll go down to like 55. Like if someone offered me like 5 or 5.2 or 5.3, like part of me is like like I'm already into the bike like 5. I don't really want to like make $200-300 bucks, you know, like I love this bike. This is such a fucking awesome bike. I'd rather keep it, ride it around for like 10,000 miles and save $1,300, then sell it for 4K, something like that, right? So I'm like, I'm not gonna sell it for 5. And this guy, he's like, he's not even offering me some shit, you know? So that was fucking weird. And after that, I kind of like was like, fuck it. Like I think I'm gonna keep the bike. I'm gonna try to do this like moto vlog. And so that's kind of like my goal, but it's just gonna take more than I have, because in order to do that, like I have a helmet. Like I got the helmet that the guy gave me. It's kind of busted, but whatever. So I got the helmet, then I got to get like a GoPro with a mic adapter and a mic, and then I was thinking about getting like a dash cam for the motorcycle, so like you could have a camera in the front and a camera in the back, and it's not going to record any noise or anything, but at least I have it there. And that's good, because like I've been watching these YouTube videos of these moto vlogs and stuff, and man, that shit's scary, because like most of the time you getting in accidents is not even your fault. Like I'd say at least half the time motorcycles get in an accident is someone else hitting them, or someone else doing some shit where like it causes them, like they run into them because like you turn left in front of them or some shit, right? So most of the times it's not the fucking motorcyclist's fault. And I'm like, fuck, like I'm gonna make another video about this, but I feel like my body, like I'm still fucked up from the motorcycle accident that was 10 years ago. Like it sounds fucking crazy, but that's how I feel. So like I'm a little afraid to ride, like not really, but like in the sense like I don't want to get hurt again, like, you know. So I really don't go out much. I don't ride much, but you know, I love riding. It's in my blood, and that's why I'm thinking like I might as well just keep this bike. And so I'm like, you know, if I can get that GoPro and get a mic, then I can start vlogging. And so I'm like, let me try doing the vlogging like at home, so like podcast type stuff. So that's why I'm using my phone. I'm like, I'm gonna sit here and talk about some stuff, like see how it goes. And like yesterday I made my first video, but this phone, you know, it stops at 30 minutes, and then I had like to edit all these videos together, and I don't fucking know how to do that. Like I don't know how to edit videos and shit. So it took me hours to figure it out, and I finally found the right program that I could use, and that made it easy. So I just put them all together. Like I didn't do anything special, you know. But I'm thinking like I want to make some more interesting videos where like I'm talking right now, right? But then how I said like, oh, I want to show pictures of my bike, so maybe I can like cut it and like input a picture of my bike, and then like me still talking or something, right? I don't know how that works, but you know, I want it to pop up and you can see a picture of my bike when I talked about it. So I think I'm gonna learn how to do more stuff like that. But yeah, so let's see. Yeah. Other than that, like so that's my riding. Like, so these videos I'm gonna be posting like on my C Browse Motovlog page, just like I guess as like an intro video or something. And I want to wash up my bike and get some video of my bike, you know, show people what's up. And I want to try to like make like a Patreon or GoFundMe or something, and just kind of do what all these motovloggers are doing. I don't know. Let's see. See, like on that side, so I broke my right wrist, and my right side, I feel it, man. Like, I know I'm still fucked up. I go to the chiropractor, and she, you know, she's like, yeah, I know there's something wrong with your shoulder, like for sure, because like the last time I went to her was like the 12th time that I went this year, and the VA only gives you 12 visits. So I'm like, fuck, like I can't go again for 3 months, which sucks, because when I went to her, she's just telling me like, oh, come back in 2 weeks, oh, come back in 4 weeks or whatever, right? So I'm just going based on her recommendation. But when I go back this last time, she's like, oh, anything like bothering you? I'm like, yeah, like my right shoulder. And, like, she gets me on the table, and you know, she could tell what's up. She's like, yeah, there's something going on here. But it's crazy because 10 years ago, man, like 10 years, I'm fucking living with this shit for 10 years, man. Like, how am I not fucking, how's my body not recovered? What the fuck, you know? Let's see. I'm gonna try to show my scar this time. You can't really see that. I gotta stand up or some shit. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, you know? But it's just, it blows my mind that 10 years later, like, my arm, like my right side of my body, is still not recovered. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And then, so like, I'm a huge fan of like the Joe Rogan podcast, but one of the things that he says is like, he doesn't believe in chiropractors. And I'm like, God damn, dude, like, that was like one of the things I hear that, and I'm like, dude, I just want to talk about that. I could probably talk about that for a long time. Because I watch YouTube videos, and this guy's like, he was like in India or something. Like, he pulls out a tree root from the ground, and he fucked his back up, so he's just like hunched over for weeks, months, I don't know. But it was like, you could tell it was not normal, you know? He's like, he's in pain, and like, he's just fucked up. And nobody was doing anything. And then I want to say like someone in Australia or something, they reached out to him. And so they flew this guy over. He's getting these chiropractor visits and stuff. And it's basically a documentary. And this guy, you know, he's like slowly like getting this guy to start like going upright. And then like all of a sudden, like he looked like a normal kid again, like a 16-year-old or whatever. And I'm like, damn, like, how can you argue that, man? That's like irrefutable evidence right there. But I don't know. He don't believe in fucking chiropractors. And I don't know. I'm like, dude, you believe in massages? Like, fuck. I feel like those two go hand in hand. Like, you know, you gotta get adjusted because like you have like holding patterns, and so like your body gets a certain way. So like when I broke my right wrist, and like, you know, I'm probably like babying that side, and so my right side's like going down like this. So my like everything's going down, right? But then at the same time, like everything on the bottom half is being pulled up. So like my right leg is like a little shorter, I guess. So like you're standing and like you got a little bit of a like, you know, but you know, that's like my hips fucked up or whatever. But it's just crazy, like, that people don't acknowledge that shit, you know? It's like, if you go to a chiropractor like twice a week and get a massage twice a week, like, dude, I feel like that'd be amazing. But you know how much that costs? Fuck if I know. I know like the cheapest massage I found to get like a good deal, I found like a package deal where you pay $300 for 5 1.5 hour massages. And so you're like, all right, you know, that's a good deal, but it's a lot of fucking money, you know? Like, you're doing one a week and you're paying almost $300 a month. Like, damn, dude. And then like if you're tipping, oh man, like, that's why I'm like, man, if I won the lottery, I definitely would be getting massages, going to chiropractor. I'd be like trying to heal my body a lot more. And that's what sucks about the VA is like they just don't fucking take you seriously. They're like, no, there ain't shit wrong with you. Or like, nah, we ain't had the time to fuck with you. I don't know. Or maybe I just give up. Because like, that's what I do, you know? It's like I try to fix that shit, and I'm trying, and then like finally I'm like, fuck it. You know, I don't care. I'll live with it. I'll deal with it. You know, it's like, that's how they train you in the army, you know? You just carry on. Take some Motrin, carry on. Fucking right, left, march, you know? Just fucking keep going. So that's basically how people are, you know? Like, people that are in the army and stuff, people that, veterans, like, you know, they're in pain, whatever, like, they just keep doing what they're doing. Like me, like, well, fuck, this is supposed to be, like, a motorcycle video. Maybe I'm gonna talk about health now, because, like, I feel like my right side's all fucked up from the bike, and I don't know, man, I'm just running out of shit to say, I guess. But nah, you know, I feel like, I don't know, maybe if I go take a hit, I'll have some more shit to talk about.